All right, let's jump into this. You've sent over some visuals for this deep dive, and they're really interesting, I'd say.
Yeah.
Definitely. And they're all interior design concepts.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on bedrooms.
Yes.
Our mission is to take a look and see what these images are telling us about, trends in bedroom design these days.
Right.
But also, maybe even more importantly, what they say about how we think about creating a space for sleep and rest. A place where we really want to be.
Yeah.
So we'll be looking for recurring ideas, contrasting styles, those little details that might give you some inspiration for your own bedroom.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's remarkable how these bedrooms, even without any explanation, can communicate so much about how we approach both the look and the function of these very personal spaces. It says a lot about the power of visual communication.
It really does. And you know what? We have 4 completely different bedrooms to look at today. The first one is a space with concrete walls. It's got this warm strip lighting that really brings out the lines of the room, and a balcony with a view right over the water. The second bedroom is much bolder. You've got red bedding that really stands out, light wood furniture, and a large abstract artwork that just draws your eye.
It's quite a statement.
It is. Then the third design is more minimalist, dark walls, almost black, striking pendant lights, and a large feather print over the bed.
Interesting.
And finally, the fourth image has a classic, comfortable feel. Warm wood paneling around the headboard, a soft palette of beige and traditional bedside lamps, giving it a very familiar touch.
I see it.
So we've got a whole range of styles to explore here.
It's like we're taking a visual journey through different philosophies of bedroom design, and each one's trying to create a very specific mood, a unique experience.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start with the lighting. Lighting is a big deal in a few of these designs, and we see this trend of indirect lighting, don't we? That warm strip lighting in the first image, highlighting the structure. Yeah. And then you see similar lighting behind the headboards in the second and fourth bedrooms.
Right.
Oh, and let's not forget those pendant lights next to the bed in the third image. What do you think this kind of lighting does to the overall feeling of a room?
Well, it's really fascinating. We're seeing a shift away from, that harsh overhead lighting in bedrooms and towards these warmer indirect sources. It definitely creates a more relaxed and intimate atmosphere. It's not about being super bright. It's more about these layers of light and shadow, which can be really calming at the end of the day. It's almost like the soft glow of dusk. And there's even research that suggests this kind of light might help us regulate melatonin, the hormone we need for sleep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It definitely feels more deliberate. Now, when we compare that to the more traditional bedside lamps in the fourth image, they give you that direct light, which is great for reading.
Exactly.
But what kind of mood do those lamps create compared to the strip lights and the pendant lights?
Well, it brings up a good point about how we actually use the space. The bedside lamps suggest a more classic approach. Having that focused light for reading is important. And some people might just prefer that accessible, direct light source, while the indirect lighting is great for atmosphere. If you read or work in bed a lot, you might need that extra focused light a lamp can give you.
Right. It's all about purpose. Okay, let's move on to color palettes now because there's a huge variety here. The first image is very neutral. Those concrete walls have a cool feel to them. But then you've got the warmer tones of the lighting in the wood of the bedside table and the furniture on the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
How do these cooler and warmer neutrals work together to create that sense of calm in the room?
Well, if you look at it from a design psychology point of view, neutrals, especially ones with earthy tones, tend to make us feel peaceful and serene. The coolness of something like concrete is balanced by the warmth of wood and the carefully placed lighting. So the room doesn't feel too stark or industrial, and this balance lets the view outside become the main source of color and visual interest. It's almost like the room is designed to connect us with nature.
Yeah, and there's a concept called biophilic design,
Right.
which is all about how being connected to nature, like through color and natural materials, can actually reduce our stress and make us feel better.
Exactly.
Now, the second image is totally different. It has that bold red bedding, which is a huge contrast to the neutrals we were just talking about.
Yeah.
What kind of energy does a strong color like that bring into the room?
Red is definitely associated with energy, with passion, even excitement. So having it as the dominant color, like we see here with the bedding, would create a more vibrant and stimulating feeling. It's a bold choice. It says something about the person who lives there. But it's also worth thinking about how that energy might affect sleep. It depends on the person. Different shades of red can have different effects too. A deep red might feel luxurious, while a bright red might feel more energizing. It's all about the nuances.
Yeah, for sure. Then there's the third bedroom, which is almost the complete opposite. It has those dark grays and blacks.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a very different atmosphere. It's almost like being in a cocoon. What kind of feeling do you think those dark colors create?
Well, the interesting thing about darker color schemes is that they can make a space feel very intimate and enclosed. They can be grounding and safe, like a personal retreat. The key is to have enough variation in textures to keep it from feeling too heavy or oppressive, like the subtle shade differences in the bedding or maybe a slight sheen on some surfaces. That adds depth and stops the room from feeling flat.
I see. And finally, we have the fourth image. It brings us back to a softer, more traditional palette with those beige and wood tones. It feels very inviting and warm, but in a subtler way than the red, almost nurturing. What feeling do you think this palette evokes?
Well, these colors often make us feel comfortable and warm. There's also a sense of understated elegance. Beige and wood tones are natural and grounding. They tend to create a feeling of calm and stability. It's a classic choice that feels timeless and welcoming. It probably appeals to a lot of different people.
It's definitely easy to okay, let's think about the textures in these designs. In the first image, you have the hard, almost industrial feel of the concrete walls right next to really soft bedding and a cozy throw.
Yeah.
What does that contrast in textures say about the experience of being in that room?
That mix of textures adds a really interesting sensory layer to the room. The cool, smooth surface of the walls gives you a sense of space and modernity. But then you have the softness of the bedding and the throws, which just looks so comfortable. That interplay can make a space feel both modern and inviting. It balances the cool look with actual physical coziness. I think we often underestimate how important textures are to how we experience a room.
I agree. And look at the headboards. We see different styles, don't we? Some are built into the bed frame, while others really stand out as statement pieces. How do those different headboard styles affect the overall feel?
The headboard is like a visual anchor for the whole bedroom. A large upholstered headboard, like we see in a couple of these images, immediately makes the room feel luxurious and comfortable. It creates a plush backdrop for the bed. But a more minimalist headboard might make the room look cleaner, more streamlined, and modern. The materials and the design of the headboard also play a big role in setting the style and how formal the room feels.
Now, what about rugs and curtains? We don't see them in every image, but when we do, how do they affect the feel of the room? Even the acoustics.
Rugs add warmth and softness underfoot, which makes the space more comfortable. They can also help to define different areas in a larger bedroom, and curtains obviously control light and privacy, but they also soften the look of the walls. And from a practical point of view, both rugs and curtains absorb sound, which helps to create a quieter, more peaceful environment. And that's really important in a bedroom.
Right, it's all about rest. The connection to nature is another interesting theme we see. The first image really emphasizes this with that balcony and the view over the water. It's like the outdoors is part of the room. How do you think that visual connection affects the atmosphere?
Having that strong connection to nature can really change how a room feels. Natural light, fresh air, a calming view. They can all make us feel better and more peaceful. It breaks down the barriers between inside and outside. The bedroom feels larger and more open, which can be great in smaller spaces.
We also see a big indoor plant in the second image. What role do those natural elements play in bedroom design, even when there's not a direct connection to the outdoors, like a balcony or a large window?
Even just one well-placed plant can bring life and freshness into a room. It adds natural color and shapes, which can be very soothing.
Yeah.
And besides, the way they look, plants can actually improve air quality, so they contribute to that sense of well-being in the room.
Now, the artwork in the third image features a feather. It's a natural motif, but it's presented in a more stylized way. So how does this subtle reference to nature compare to that direct immersive experience of the outdoors that we saw in the first image?
Well, it shows us that we can bring natural elements into our homes in different ways. The view in the first image is a very immersive sensory experience, but the feather print offers a more symbolic, maybe even introspective connection to nature. It can still evoke a sense of calm and beauty, but without that direct sensory input. It suggests that even small reminders of nature can have a positive effect on us.
That's really interesting. And what about the fourth image? We don't see a clear outdoor connection or any obvious natural motifs like plants or feathers. But are there any elements that suggest natural materials or inspiration?
Definitely. The wood paneling is a big clue. Wood has a natural warmth and texture that brings an organic feel to a space, and the soft beige and other earthy tones in the bedding and curtains also add to that sense of natural harmony, even without a view of the outdoors or specific natural imagery.
Right, it's subtle, but it's there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's talk about furniture and layout now. We see different bedside table styles in each image, everything from very minimal floating shelves to larger wooden pieces with drawers. What do these different choices tell us about functionality and personal taste in bedroom design?
The bedside table is all about individual needs and style. A floating shelf might be perfect for someone who likes clean lines and doesn't need much storage space. But a bigger table with drawers gives you a lot more room for your things. The style of the table also matters. A sleek, modern design has a different feel than a more traditional or rustic piece.
And the first image has a separate seating area with a comfortable-looking armchair by the balcony. How does a space like that change the way we think about a bedroom? It's not just for sleeping anymore.
Having a seating area turns the bedroom into a more versatile private space. It's a place to read, relax, or just enjoy the view. The bedroom becomes a more integrated part of daily life, not just a place to sleep at night. It suggests a lifestyle where the bedroom is a sanctuary for all kinds of activities.
Then we have that very minimalist approach in the third image where there's only the essential furniture. What did that say about the importance of space and simplicity in creating a good sleep environment?
A lot of people find that a calm and uncluttered environment helps them sleep better. So this minimalist approach is all about creating that. By reducing visual distractions and unnecessary furniture, the focus shifts to rest and relaxation. It suggests a desire for simplicity and a conscious effort to minimize distractions in the sleep space. We're starting to understand how much our physical environment can affect our state of mind.
So if we consider all of these visual clues, what can we say about the kind of person who might live in each of these bedrooms? What can we infer about their lifestyle?
Well, based on everything we've talked about, the first bedroom, with its modern design, natural materials, and connection to the outdoors, might appeal to someone who's design conscious, who values tranquility, and a connection between their indoor and outdoor spaces. Maybe someone who lives in a city but wants to feel close to nature.
That makes sense.
The second bedroom, with its bold colors and abstract art, probably belongs to someone who's more expressive and artistic. Someone who's not afraid to make a statement and enjoys a more energetic environment. The darker minimalist bedroom could be perfect for someone who really prioritizes calm, simplicity, and privacy. Maybe someone who needs a restful, distraction-free environment to sleep well. And the fourth bedroom, with its warm, neutral tones and classic design, might appeal to someone who values comfort and tradition, a more familiar sense of home.
And looking at all four of these examples together, do you see any trends or any contrasting design philosophies?
One big trend is the focus on creating a calming and comfortable environment, but the way they achieve that is very different. We see a contrast between bolder, more expressive designs and the quieter, more minimalist approaches. There's also a big focus on natural elements in different forms, whether it's direct access to the outdoors, indoor plants, natural materials like wood, or even artwork inspired by nature. And finally, the use of lighting to set the mood is something we see in all four designs.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what stands out to you? What are some of those aha moments or specific details that you found interesting or that you think might be relevant to how you think about bedroom design, or for anyone listening?
For me, it's the power of lighting. It can completely change the atmosphere of a room. It's not just about function, it's about creating a mood. And the way indirect lighting can subtly transform a space is amazing. And I think we should all pay more attention to how different textures interact and how they contribute to the overall sensory experience of a room.
Yes, that's so true.
And for you listening, I think it's worth considering which of these different approaches and design elements really speak to you and how you want to feel in your own bedroom.
Exactly. So as we come to the end of this, what does it all mean when we look at these four very different bedrooms together? We've seen how lighting, color palettes, textures, and layout all work together to create really distinct environments. From that connection to nature, to the bold use of color, from minimalism to classic comfort, each of these bedrooms tells a story.
And what's so fascinating is how these simple elements can create such different feelings, and how they can affect something as important as our ability to rest and recharge. So I think the big question for you is this. As you think about these different approaches, which aspects really resonate with you and your needs for your own personal space? Which of these design elements could be the key to creating a bedroom that truly supports your well-being and helps you get the rest you deserve?
I think that's a great place to leave it. Food for thought.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time.
Take care.